CM Punk teasing retirement. We're going to talk about it in today's video, but also we're going to talk about Christian Cage, and we have a very interesting story about a WWE superstar who was released, who actually rejected coming back for the WWE Royal Rumble. So if you guys want more wrestling news, this is the channel that does it every single day, 7 days a week, and I bring you guys my reactions to everything. I love to hear what you guys have to say, so drop a comment down below and let me know what you think of the stories. So we're going to actually start things off with Nia Jax. I want to get this one out of the way, but even if you're not a WWE fan, this is very telling of what's happened in WWE, because Nia Jax was released by the WWE, and then Nia Jax just revealed that WWE had asked her, they requested that she came back for the Royal Rumble, and she told them, F-U-C-K, no. Guys, that is pretty unbelievable. I always thought Nia Jax, to be honest with you, was a WWE person. Like, I thought, especially because of the lineage with The Rock and how she got there and everything like that, I thought she was going to be a WWE girl through and through. And unfortunately, that's not necessarily the case. We don't exactly know if Nia Jax will come back to wrestling, if she'll ever show up in AEW, Impact, MLW, whatever. But we do know that as of right now, she's not coming back to WWE, and she is not happy with WWE. She even mentioned on Renee Young's podcast, guys, she really went in on WWE, and she was talking about the vaccine and all of these different things that kind of led to just unhappiness in WWE and their protocols and everything. So it just goes to show you that even people you would expect to be incredibly happy there aren't happy. But on the contrary, you have somebody like Sami Zayn who comes out and reveals that he's very happy there and he's not disgruntled, and that's why he resigned. So, it is what it is. I'm just kind of letting you guys know there's two sides of the coin, and no matter how you flip it, there's either happiness or there's anger, there's unhappiness. It is what it is at the end of the day. I just kind of want to tell you guys about that. Very interesting story. All right, guys, I did want to talk about this. Christian Cage, he just revealed on Twitter yesterday some very cool stuff, right? He shared a picture of himself back at his WWE return, obviously a photo of him and Edge. This was his tweet. He says, 1 year ago today, I took my career back. Man, 2021 was wild. I was involved in 3 pay-per-view main events for 3 different companies and had some special moments. That being said, at AEW is my home for the rest of my career. So what do I want in 2022? The world, Chico, and everything in it. So Christian Cage is mentioning that he is going to retire in AEW. So this is actually different from our CM Punk story that's coming up in just a moment, but I want to talk about this. Christian Cage, I thought for sure would come back to WWE. I thought he was going to do this AEW run, and then he would find his way back in WWE. But let's face it, Christian Cage does not have a lot of time left. And by the way AEW is using him, they are basically securing him for the long term, because we're not seeing him in action every single week. He's kind of like he's Marco Stunt's replacement for Jurassic Express. And if you're laughing at that, I mean, it is what it is. We haven't seen Marco Stunt, but we've seen Christian Cage having the backs of Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. So to me, look, if Christian's going to end his career in AEW, that's great. I don't expect him to have too much longer, but I hope we get something cool out of it, man, because I understand AEW is bringing in veterans to have them work with the younger guys, but at that point, I feel like it almost diminishes what that person's doing. Thankfully, it's not diminishing Christian Cage. Thankfully, it's not diminishing Sting. And when I say this, I'm speaking on a grander scale, right? I don't want these older guys to get diminished because they're only putting over younger talent. I need to see a balance of both. And I think everybody can agree with that for the most part. We want the younger guys to go over, but we also don't want to see Christian Cage just getting jobbed out. And obviously AEW hasn't done that, but I'm just saying hypothetically, theoretically, that type of thing. So yeah, Christian Cage ending his career in AEW, it's going to be very interesting to see when that actually is. But ultimately, I hope we get something cool with him. I like Christian, man. I really like him. I was glad to see that he was wrestling again, because for so long, man, it was just no, it's not happening. And I grew up as a huge Edge and Christian fan, so to see Christian's back, absolutely killing it, it's great to see. And guys, for our final story of the day, this one is such an interesting story to me, because when you're trying to decipher words on Twitter, it could, things get kind of lost in translation and everything, but we are in fact talking about CM Punk. And I want to actually make it very clear too. This is based off of a tweet and speculation. So kind of Christian Cage just came out and mentioned that he is ending his career in AEW. CM Punk is a little bit harder to figure out. So CM Punk tweeted out yesterday, or the other day. He goes, every day I'm in a ring in front of a live audience is a time that I never thought I'd have back. I treat every second like it's my last. I'm not sure how long I have left, but I will leave it all out there. Thanks to everyone who supports. Now, I do believe that CM Punk's time in AEW is short-lived. And it's not because CM Punk is this bad wrestler or anything like that. CM Punk is great. What he's doing with MJF was great. What he did with Darby Allin is great. What CM Punk continues to do is fine. I have no problem with that. But it is very clear to me that CM Punk is not the same CM Punk from 7 years ago. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that he was out of the sport. And he aged. And he went to MMA. And this is not a bad thing. I'm not speaking negatively here. I'm just saying it obviously isn't the same CM Punk. And I think CM Punk probably feels different now than he did 7 years ago. And so when he says, I'm not sure how long I have left, but I will leave it all out there, that to me is very bold because we understand, visually speaking, that you are not who you are or who you were. And again, I think CM Punk should be in AEW. I think CM Punk being in AEW has its benefits. I think people are benefiting from CM Punk in AEW. So I have no problem with this. But I hope that AEW truly maximizes everything possible that they can with CM Punk, because that would be the biggest issue if they don't. Like right now it's fine, but what's that next step? What's the next level? Okay, after MJF, what are the plans? I think people are really, really intrigued by CM Punk in AEW, but if his time is coming up, and if he's not going to be here in the long run, you want to see AEW get everything that they possibly can out of the situation. So, if we are booking AEW, what would Ango do specifically, right? I would do this. I would give CM Punk the championship. I would give CM Punk one major heel turn. One major heel run before he hangs it all up, before he laces up those boots for the final time. He needs to turn heel one more time. And then I have CM Punk put over the next babyface. And hey, maybe CM Punk versus Darby Allin 2 is another story that they can work with, right? We've seen Buddy, CM Punk, Darby Allin, and Sting. Maybe we can have a CM Punk Darby 2. I don't know what that situation looks like, but I think CM Punk winning the belt, being a heel, is ultimately going to have better effects for AEW long-term if they're giving an emerging star the belt after that. And I think that is truly the moment that they pass the torch. Now, if I'm AEW and if I'm CM Punk, I would love to see a situation where CM Punk goes to commentary full-time, because I think he does a really good job at it with MMA. And I think he does a really good job of it when he's on AEW. So look, maybe there is more to CM Punk in AEW, but if he does retire within a year or two, it's going to be, hopefully they have all their ducks in a row. That's all I'm saying. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.